Millions of accidents occur yearly, and sometimes effective first aid procedures could be the difference between life and death. Hello and welcome back to My Safety Hub, your go-to source for all things health and safety. Today we are tackling the SOP for conducting first aid in general. This SOP aims to empower individuals to be prepared and confident in providing first aid while minimizing risk to both the first aider and the casualty. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to leave the video a like and to click that subscribe button. It really helps the channel a lot. This SOP is available for download using the first link in the description. Download it and follow along, or use it as reference for your own SOP. All SOPs start with a scope and purpose. The scope is that this SOP is relevant to anyone who may be required to administer first aid, including trained first aiders, emergency responders, and general personnel. It covers a broad range of scenarios both within the workplace and other settings. And the primary purpose is to provide clear, concise guidance that ensures the safe and effective delivery of first aid. Next is Section 2, Authority and Responsibility. A designated authority or department, such as a safety manager or first aid coordinator, has the overall responsibility for implementing and enforcing this SOP, ensuring compliance with relevant regulations and organizational policies. Management plays a crucial role in providing the necessary resources, including training, first aid kits, and personnel, whereas designated first aiders are responsible for understanding and adhering to this SOP, maintaining their qualifications, assessing situations, using appropriate PPE, providing competent care, seeking additional medical assistance when required, and reporting any incidents or concerns. Lastly, our safety officers support this process by assisting in SOP development and review, providing guidance, inspecting first aid equipment, and collaborating on incident investigations. Let's move on to Section 3, the Risk Assessment Summary. This section identifies the inherent risks associated with providing first aid, including behavioral risks like unauthorized attendance, horseplay, acting under stress, distractions, and lack of competence, biological hazards like TB and body fluids, environmental hazards like noise, poor lighting, and poor ventilation, ergonomic risks like poor posture, repetitive actions, and overexertion, physical hazards like sharp objects, slippery surfaces, and poor housekeeping. This section is used to list all identified hazards from most hazardous to least. We can see that for each hazard, the potential risk level is assessed from substantial to low, along with the corresponding risk statements, designated to give you a better understanding of hazards. This SOP highlights 18 hazards and its associated risk levels. But let's take a look at one of the hazards with the highest risks, which is the behavioral risk in the form of attendance to a patient without authorization. The risk statement is that further injury is caused to the patient, resulting in unnecessary penetration wounds, possible fractures, possible first or second degree burn trauma, possible fatality, or finally even possible legal liability. Next is Section 4, the required PPE. Proper personal protective equipment is essential. This SOP recommends hearing protection, eye protection, foot protection, hand protection, and respiratory protection. The type of PPE might vary based on the specific situation and potential hazards. Then we have Section 5, our task description. This section provides a detailed step-by-step guide to administering first aid in the form of pre- and post-task checks, what to do while conducting first aid along with housekeeping checks, safety considerations, and emergency measures. Let's start with the pre-task checks. These initial steps include assessing the scene for safety, checking the casualty's responsiveness and breathing, looking for bleeding, gathering information if the casualty is conscious. Check for medical alert tags, considering environmental factors, putting on PPE, requesting bystander assistance, and mentally preparing oneself. Getting consent is vital before providing any aid to a conscious or communicative casualty. Next, we have conducting the task. This core process involves the primary survey, checking responsiveness, airway, breathing, and circulation, calling emergency services if needed, administering basic life support such as CPR or controlling bleeding, conducting a secondary survey, head-to-toe examinations, checking vital signs and obtaining medical history, treating identified injuries or illnesses, continuously monitoring the casualty's condition, maintaining communication, keeping records, handing over care to medical professionals, and following up with the casualty. Then our post-task checks. These essential follow-up actions include continued casualty care if applicable, cleaning and disinfecting or disposing of contaminated materials, washing your hands, restocking the first aid kit, reporting the incident, documenting the first aid provided, debriefing with any team members involved, self-care for the first aider, reviewing and updating this SOP if needed. Next is our housekeeping checks, and it includes cleaning, organizing, inspecting, and maintaining first aid supplies. This goes hand in hand with our safety considerations, which is to ensure personal safety, controlling the infection, identifying environmental hazards, ergonomic considerations, moving the casualty, consent, medical history, and communication. And lastly, we have our emergency measures. This section makes us aware of the possible emergencies we may encounter, like what to do if we have an unresponsive casualty, severe bleeding, choking, or suspected spinal injuries, how to check for heart attacks, strokes, or seizures, or what to do in the case of poisoning or burns. By following the pre-task checks, ensuring the task is conducted correctly, and post-task checks, housekeeping, safety considerations, and emergency measures, one can ensure that you are conducting first aid as safe as possible. Next, we have section 6, our control measures. This section outlines the control measures designed to minimize the risks associated with first aid. These can include engineering controls like extraction fans and ventilation systems to improve air quality, engineering controls related to equipment such as first aid kits, burn kits, and sanitizer and proper lighting, and administrative controls like appointing and training first aiders, conducting inspections, implementing a first aid SOP, and ensuring safety signs. Let's have a closer look at one of the 53 control measures. Remember to download the SOP using the first link in the description. One of our control measures is an admin control in the form of an appointment letter for your first aider. This refers to the appointment of a responsible person being in place who is trained and certified to provide immediate medical assistance to injured or ill persons in the event of an emergency. This person takes responsibility for assessing the condition of the injured or ill individual, administering basic first aid treatment, and facilitating the provisions of further medical care if needed. Aspects of the responsibilities include conducting regular inspections of the first aid box to ensure it is properly stocked and ready for use, providing appropriate first aid treatments to stabilize the individual's condition and alleviate their symptoms, and documenting the details of an incident, including the nature of the injury or illness, the treatment provided, and any observations or concerns. And lastly, we have our final sections of the SOP. These final sections cover related documentation, the importance of reviewing and updating the SOP, mandatory training procedures for all relevant personnel, keeping records of incidents, tracking revisions to ensure documentation, and ensuring proper communication and understanding of the SOP. Being equipped to provide first aid is a powerful skill that can significantly impact outcomes in an emergency situation. This comprehensive SOP provides essential guidance for anyone who may find themselves in a position to help. By adhering to these procedures, we can all contribute to creating a safer working environment. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found today's video helpful, please leave a like and share it with your colleagues. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button as to never miss another My Safety Hub video. Leave us a comment down below if you have any questions or insights you'd like us to share. And as always, stay safe, stay inspired, and until next time, take care.